Hey family, I am coming to you today with the video for my survivors. Of course, it's your girl Tracy. Someone requested a video specifically if I could go through how to open up the fist from the closed position. So this video just going to give you a brief description. My left side was affected. So my hand does open and I have all function with my hand. So I'm going to, in the video, be pretending on the steps that I went through with getting the hand to open up. So I may skip around to some things, but I want to show you, as far as when I'm working with other survivors, some of the main things we work on, some of the main ways to work on getting the hand to open up. And it is very difficult and time consuming. I just want to tell you in the beginning, do not give up at all. So I understand frustration is going to come along. You're going to be like, oh, well, today I got it open or didn't get it to open, but it closed right back up a couple hours later. But that's totally fine. So it's just a repetition we have to keep doing. So jumping right into it after a minute of me rambling. But anywho, I'm going to start from the closed position. And I'm using the table because one of the things you may find, you don't have the strength to hold your arm up yourself. So we're going to place it on the table. Everybody has a table. Place it on the table. And this is the closed position. So most people are not, the thumb, I'm trying to see. Actually, most people, the thumb is in the inside. So yeah, that's better for me. The thumb is in the inside. So this is a fisted palm, which most people have this position after their stroke. So this is what we're going to start with. And I'm going to run through because I don't want this to be hours of videos, which I have multiple videos on here. You can look at some of the recovery videos to get the hand open. But we're working on one finger at a time. So the biggest thing with this is the patience, as I said. And mine is going to come out a lot faster. But what I want you to do is we're going to focus on one finger at a time, literally. So this first thing we're going to do is tugging. And again, I'm purposely keeping mine in. We're tugging, and it does hurt at times. And the reason it hurts is because these muscles have not been stretched after the stroke. So with that disconnect with the brain, our bodies forgot how to use that. So we got to really think about, we go back to baby stage. So as if you have any children or infants around, you see how a lot of times they can't open their hands or they can't grab things. We have to go back to baby stage with ourselves when we're trying to recover from their stroke phase. So we're tugging at the thumb for one. So the speed up version, I'm going to show you, we're tugging with each finger at a time. And people looking at you are going to be like, oh my gosh, it looks like that hurts because you're pulling and yanking at those joints and fingers. But at the same time, you know your pain tolerance. But I will also tell you, you will have slight pain because of the simple fact these things have not moved. And I always refer to of a person trying to say, hey, I want to do a split. One day you can't just say, if you haven't done it, say, hey, I'm going to jump down, bust into a split. You have to gradually work yourself up and stretch those muscles to get to that. It's the same thing that's happening with our fingers. We have to stretch those muscles. So I'm going through this tugging situation as in trying to get this thumb out. So what we're going to do with each one, if you got it to a point where you're able to get a little tug in here, you got a little room going, we're going to work on, again, one at a time. We're going to hold that out. And how I'm holding it out is as such. And of course, it's not going to be as easy. So how you hold that out, we want to get that, the knuckle and everything straight. We're taking that non-affected hand, or if you have to have somebody help you, and we're pushing it all the way back. And what I'm doing is pushing it back enough so we can really stretch those little tendons out right there. So you may be dealing with the fact that it keeps pushing yourself down. Or another one, I do remember, dealing with, once you get this open, you may still have that little tendon still curved in. How you stretch that out is, I'm trying to move my fingers out the way. How you stretch that out is, now I'm taking another finger and I'm pushing it here to push it in. So with each of these fingers, our first goal in the beginning is going to be to hold each one approximately about 2 minutes. I know that's a long time, but just say we went through that for all of the fingers. So held the thumb for 2 to 3 minutes. Guess what? It's likely going to pop back in. That's totally fine. Now we're moved on to the next finger. Again, I was trying to set it up, which will give the best view of just my hand only. And we're tugging this finger out. So each one, so say for instance, if this one, and I'll try to do different things. So if this one may only want to go here. So you see how that finger is still curved there? It may only want to go there. So what we're going to do is patience. That's totally fine. We're going to begin to push it down. And say for instance, even if I got this pushed down, and I still have that clip in there, that's fine. We're tugging till we get that even straighter. So as I'm doing this here, say for instance, you still have that tug, that little curve. That's what it looks like. It's funny, I still can't do the left one like this purposely, and I don't want to because I remember when it was stuck and it took forever to get it straight. So I don't even want to do that on this finger, but generally what I'm saying is that little tendon that's like this. This is a lot of times when we get this finger out straight, it still may look like such. So how we work on that is, same way we did the thumb, we're going to apply pressure to it with another finger. I'm sorry, these should be closed. With another finger, and we're going to work on getting it straight. And it may, again, I'm saying not always as straight as it looks right now, but we're working on, see, there we go. I was able to get the tendon back to do that. So how I'm doing this is, and of course mine is a lot easier when I'm doing it. It's not that easy. Remember, I understand what you're going through because I was in the same path. So I'm not somebody on here just saying, hey, I read up on what you do for a stroke. No, baby, I went through the same thing you did. By the grace of God, we moving and doing everything. So that's why I'm here showing y'all. We got to have patience. So as this video, boom, we're stretching that out. And again, so this is not too long. We're doing this through all of the fingers. All of them. So likely, again, what's going to happen is going to tug itself back in. That's fine. Take your time. And if you say, oh, I don't have that much time, okay, you can be sitting in front of the TV watching TV, or you're watching your favorite show. Start tugging at the fingers. Tugging at the fingers, let's get them out. So say that through this, I've actually sat here and went through all 5 fingers. So now we're about 15 minutes in. What naturally may happen is your nerves may begin to open up, just depending on what level you are. Your nerves may begin to open up, and your wrist may start shaking. That right there is not necessarily something for you to be alarmed on. It's just your nerves and everything just waking up, and you're getting that blood flow and that stretch in those fingers. So that's another part that's good for us because it's been so tight-fisted and closed for so long with that disconnect. So, and then the funny thing is, I'm always thinking of something. When I say for so long, it may have been, oh, it's only been tight-fisted for 3 weeks or a month. But it's like when you have that disconnect to the brain, it's like, no, we've never opened up. So now we have to figure out how to transfer and rewire that brain to say, yes, we did. Last month before my stroke, we were open. So, that's what I'm saying. So with that disconnect, it says, nope, you never did that. So that's why, okay, skipping to something else. So this is why when I do a lot of things, I say do it also with your non-affected side, because guess what? Our brain realizes, hey, we got 2 sides, the left and the right. That non-affected side does it. Why can't the affected side do it? So when we're doing things, we like to do them with both. So therefore, our brain does figure out, hey, we got something to mimic, something to show us how it should be done. So anyways, back to, I've opened all the fingers up. Guess what? Your hand is tired. Give yourself a rest. As we're giving ourselves a rest with those fingers, what I want you to do again with that, because this wrist is still part of the hand, we're going to go on. Now we're working on the wrist. So if you cannot do this with getting your wrist up, guess what? You have a non-affected side. And depending on your tightness, it may be a big struggle. Let me get this up so you can see my wrist. May be a big struggle to even get it to this position. So what we're doing here is, and again, yes, it may look like it hurt, and some of these do hurt, actually. We're trying to stretch that muscle here. So another video I just did, I believe I posted last week for wrist drop, how to tighten and strengthen the wrist, but at the same time, as we're tightening and strengthening, we do need to stretch areas as well. So we're pushing up as we're waiting for that. We're giving those fingers a rest. We're moving on to this wrist. Then we're also going to go down. A lot of people really have a hard time with getting any flexion or motion in that wrist joint there. And this one, even for myself, just is not a stretch that I do on a regular basis. So I could feel the tension driving all the way through my forearm, so it needs to be done. This is something we should do, definitely. We want to stretch everything out and to get proper blood flow in that area. So what you'll do here is, since we're giving the fingers a rest, we're now going to work on our wrist. Another one of my favorite, because I'm trying to skip through, so this video is not too long. So you can take your time and do an hour on the fingers, an hour on the wrist, whatever you want. But I just want to make this video decent time. So another one we have to do is, what I like to do is, say for instance, if you don't have the motion to turn that arm and that wrist over, this is the one we're doing. Wrist flat. we're going to use this non-affected hand so we'll take it over as far as you can on your own. So if you say you only stop right here with this non-affected hand, I want you to take it over. Let me move the hand out so you can see in the camera. I want you to take it and push it over the rest of the way yourself. So with this first part of the wrist exercise, I want to say flat to side. Oh, that's about flat to 180. So I want to say flat to side. This will be the first part of it. I want you to do this approximately, throat's dry, sorry, 10 to 15 times. Flat to dry, flat to dry. And pushing it back. So then transition from there, which I know this one was very hard for myself, very hard with a lot of survivors that I'm working with, is getting them from that side or that 180 position over. And this one is so hard because you're really pulling from that elbow at the same time. I gotta get some water. From that elbow at the same time. And it's not really giving you much flexion if you still have a stiff elbow. So we're working here. Once we get that arm over, what I'm gonna have you do.
Is technically severe.
Oh, great. My apologies. What I'm going to have you do is, with this non-affected hand, push it all the way over. And for this, I definitely want you to hold that. Your goal is to hold it at minimum 10 seconds. So in the beginning, I know turning this over, it's like, ouch, this really hurts. And you generally just want to pull it back over. Force yourself. And the thing is, I'm asking you to force yourself because we want to really get that full motion back. So some things we don't really like to do actually is good for us because we have a bigger picture at the end of the day. So we held that there for its time. We can go back to that 180 and then transition all the way back for a full 360. So 3 parts to this. From the table to 180, which we could stay from the 180 all the way to a full over for the 180 going the opposite direction. Or we could work on that 360. So 3 different parts that I want you to work on. And while you're doing this, when you get to this position, please, with your non-affected hand, take it and work that as well. I have another trick before I even go back to the fingers, working on those, because we're going to go back with another round, at least 2 to 3 rounds, because again, these things are tiresome and your body gets tired. Then your non-affected side gets tired at the same time. How's that possible? I put it on. Oh, at the same time from overworking basically, because you're doing everything with the non-affected side, so it gets tired. So as we have here, we're holding it there, and I do apologize because I got distracted. What I'm doing next is working on this crazy thing that I discovered that is very uncomfortable, but I'm showing you anyway. So I'm gonna scoot up at the table so you can see. It actually does work quite well when you're standing up, but for camera's sake, in a position as I am, I'm going to show you like this. It's really crazy indeed. And so I'm actually forcing to try to keep my fingers closed, but the reality is when you force the hand in this position, it begins to open up those fingers and loosen up the entire palm a lot more than it would naturally on its own. So try this very uncomfortable, weird position. I'm telling you the truth. Very uncomfortable, weird position. And see what happens to your hand. So again, I'm forcing it to stay closed. It is hard because when you're in this position, it's just how the extensors and everything in your arm and how the body operates. It's almost impossible to stay just squeeze closed like this. So we're testing this out. So you may not even be able to hold this for very long. As I'm doing, I probably held it now for about 30 seconds. So let's just say we got it over there for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then it's probably going to be like, grief, thank you. That was crazy as heck. But at the same time, it's a stretch, working different extensors in a different way. So now we're going to move back to the hand. So I'm going back to this, and I'm going to cut this video off in a minute because this is just a transition of one part. So I'll say opening the hand, part 1 is what I'll label this. And then just start doing different steps because I don't want this to be hours of videos. We will go right back through the same thing, guys. The same thing with opening those fingers one at a time. One at a time. And we're going to keep rolling until we get them all out. And as I'm saying, because it's the beginning, finger fist may be very tight. And then, okay, let's skip to this. So if your fingers are not as tight, and once you did that stretch, maybe 2 to 3 times, then your fingers decide, hey, I want to do a little open. And again, I'm purposely keeping them cramped up. And you say, okay, I want to open up a little bit. What you could do is now from this position, I'm skipping on from this position, say, hey, I got some movement in those fingers. Let's take full advantage of that. The full advantage you'll take of that is we're now going to apply weight to it. Applying that weight to it helps us to work on stretching those muscles at a different level, at a maximum level of applying that weight and attention to say, hey, it's supposed to stay open. And you may be dealing with this now from doing this. You may have this overextended, I can't remember the correct word. You may have this wrist doing the hyperflex wrist right now. So the next move from there I'm going to have you do is you're pressing these down. Safe wrist. I'm trying to purposely do this. I forgot how my wrist, because my wrist was like this. What I started doing was this. And it's crazy as heck. But using this non-effective side, pressing it down, and with the weight of my head, we're pushing this wrist down. Not only is this a little uncomfortable, but it's just a weird position. But I promise you it works. And it doesn't just happen. Oh, well, we're going to pray that it happens overnight for you. But I promise you it works. So again, hyperextended wrist. And at the same time, trying to hold those fingers. So say if you can hold this here for 1 minute to 2 minutes, doing whatever. Let's work on controlling that. So again, you can be at different levels. Your fingers may not have opened up to this level yet, but if you are at that level that they're open and relaxed, but they just don't stay open, guess what? This is one of the things you could do. Hands here, but the hyperextended wrist, or say hands here and not a hyperextended wrist. If you are at this step, and I will do a part 2, but if you are at this step, the fingers are here, and your wrist is not, now I got to stop from doing it. Your wrist is not super hyperextended. What we can do from the next transition is to work on keeping them fingers loose and opened up. One of my favorites is called the flicker. And then that flicker, let's try in here. In that flicker, we're getting that blood flow completely through all of those fingers. I'll turn sideways. I gotta stop doing my wrist like that. So that flicker right there, I love that flicker. We're really kind of waking those fingers, joints, tendons up. And we're just gonna constantly do that multiple times. So what happens with that flicker, the reason we're doing that is we're trying to wake the brain up to say, hey, I'm supposed to tap by itself. All these fingers should move by itself. Right now I'm stiffening up and tightening up because I've been trying to, oh, that's not good. Because I've been trying to keep my fingers closed tight for so long. So they're a little stiff right now. But it happens. I'm not worried about it. I'll get them to loosen up. But me trying to keep my fists closed for the video purposes. So anyways, that's the end of this video because I don't want this. I didn't even want it to go past 20 minutes. So 18-minute video. This is Tracy. Email me if I can assist you any further. bodybytrace@yahoo.com. You can follow me on social media, Instagram at Bodytracefit. And any other platform, but I really only do Instagram for the most part. And if I can assist y'all in any other type of way, I do have some other videos. Somebody asked me to do a video on swinging the arm while you walk so it doesn't look so stiff. So that'll be the next video I'll be doing. But again, appreciate y'all. Make sure you share this with other survivors. Like, upload, share, I don't know, whatever the stuff you call. Subscribe. All of the things right there, guys. I'll talk to you soon.